So much action, so much comedy, and so many cameos. Deadpool and Wolverine, directed by Sean Levy. In this third installment of the Deadpool franchise, Deadpool's peaceful existence comes crashing down when the Time Variance Authority recruits him to help safeguard the multiverse. He soon unites with his would-be pal, Wolverine, to complete the mission and save his world from an existential threat. Without any further ado, let's talk about what I liked. Going into this movie, if there was anything at all that I knew, 100% knew this movie would deliver on, it was the action and it was the comedy. And they did, in spades. They didn't have to pull any punches because it was rated R, so they just went all out. Some of the fight scenes were just beyond what I've ever dreamed of when it came to Deadpool versus Wolverine, and we've been waiting to see that in live action for a good while. Next to, of course, Wolverine and Hulk, which was teased but not fully shown. I'm sure they're going to show that during the Secret Wars movie. But once again, the action was second to none. The comedy, listen, some of the jokes fly by so fast if you're not paying attention. That's Ryan Reynolds' humor, man. He just mastered the delivery of certain jokes, and you really got to pay attention. Of course, a lot of the jokes that are face value, you'll laugh at, but then there are some jokes that just breeze on by, and you probably won't really appreciate it until like you watch the film again to catch the jokes you missed the first time. The cameos. My gosh, the cameos. Listen, there were some rumors about certain cameos that I knew about going into this film, but there was there was two cameos in particular that caught me by surprise. And I literally, when I was in the theater, saw it, was like, oh, like I was that excited. And the cameos that I was excited about actually had a lot of screen time. You know, like when you watched Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, where they showed those cameos, but they were gone just like that because Wanda killed them. It wasn't the case with this. Like, they actually had an extended movie presence that was relevant to the story. So that was a pleasant surprise. As wonderful as this movie is, the weakest part of this movie was the storyline, because the first two Deadpool films held a lot of weight. There was a lot of emotional stakes in those films, whereas here it's like he just, he kind of wants to matter. So, okay, let me do this so then I could be an Avenger. You know what I mean? And I don't think that was a strong enough driving force for Deadpool, especially with Deadpool being the way he is in terms of his personality. It didn't seem right for him to need something in order to have a purpose. It's almost as if it was like, we have all these things going on in the movie, but we need some type of central purpose of why all this is happening. So let's just throw that in there. So that's the vibe that I got. But the storyline, a little weak, and I would have liked to see more. I'm trying to speak about it without spoiling it. As awesome as the cameos were, there were some other cameos that I felt were a little bit more necessary. Especially if this particular film was supposed to be a love letter send-off to the Fox franchises. I'm really trying to be really careful not to spoil it for the people that haven't seen it. But yeah, storyline was a little weak in comparison to the other two films, and because of the type of film it was supposed to be, I expected more cameos from this side. I'm not going to say what this side is until you see it, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Overall, I have 2 ratings for this film. As a diehard Marvel fan who's followed the movies, who's followed the comics, who's followed the cartoons, who's been a diehard fan of a lot of these characters, it obviously gets a 10 out of me. Now, if I'm just a regular moviegoer that knows nothing about the franchise and just went into this movie blind, wanting to have a good time, probably going to give it a 7. Because, like I said, the storyline could have been a little stronger and the cameos were enjoyable, but if I was not familiar with those franchises before, I would be looking at it like, okay, what's the big deal? So, a regular moviegoer rating, 7, but a Marvel fan, 10.